To the victor go the spoils, and the spoils are certainly going to Ryan Day as Ohio State's head coach, fresh off of winning a national championship, has signed or agreed to a new contract with Ohio State, a 7-year contract that will pay him $12.5 million per year, making Ryan Day the second highest paid coach in college football. Chase, just what was your initial reaction to seeing that news this morning that Ryan Day is going to get paid?
Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy 2 months. It feels like here in Columbus, from the time that Ohio State lost to Michigan to now, it feels like the narrative about Ryan Day, not only his current time here at Ohio State, but also the future. It just feels a lot different. It feels like people have kind of gone from not really being all that excited about the potential that he'd come back for this 2025 season to now it's like, all right, let's go. Let's see if we can go win another national championship. Let's see if we can get over the hump against Michigan, maybe throw in a couple of conference titles in here and there. But yeah, it seems like this whole time we've just been unfolding. The narrative around Ryan Day has changed a ton.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to after that Michigan game, there was all the talk, by us included, about how many games does Ryan Day need to win in the college football playoff to save his job? There was this feeling like he was either on the hot seat or was going to be very close to getting on the hot seat after that loss to Michigan. And now it's hard to imagine Ryan Day going anywhere anytime soon because looking at this contract, the term sheet that was sent out by Ohio State on Thursday, Ohio State would largely owe him the rest of this contract if it was to fire him at any point in the next 7 years. Now that would be mitigated by, Ryan Day, going out, getting another job. And certainly for some reason, Ohio State was to move on from Ryan Day during the terms of his contract. You'd think with a national championship under his belt, that Ryan Day would be in demand even in that situation. But it is an interesting move there from Ohio State, from Ross Bjork, because Ross Bjork, the big thing that he got criticized for in his tenure at Texas A&M was giving a fully guaranteed contract to Jimbo Fisher, who then got fired after a couple years. Now, Jimbo Fisher did not win a national championship at Texas A&M. Ryan Day has now won a national championship at Ohio State. But the fact that Ohio State would commit to Ryan Day in this way certainly speaks to their belief in Ryan Day that this national championship won't be the only one that Ryan Day wins at Ohio State.
Right, and he's talked about how he wants to go out and win another one. In all of his media rounds that he's been doing since the national championship, I think he was on the Steam Room with Charles Barkley, and um, he was talking to those guys about how Woody Hayes is the only Ohio State head coach, or is the last Ohio State head coach that's won two national championships or multiple national championships here at Ohio State, and how he wants to be the next coach that will join that group that could follow after Woody and could win another one. And it's kind of funny as we talk about this, Dan. It's just the numbers are going through my head. It's Ohio State, since Ryan Day has taken over, Ryan Day is 70-10 as its head coach. They've made the college football playoff in all but two seasons, in 2021 and 2023. And that time and that stretch, there's been this narrative around Ryan Day in Columbus that he might not be the guy for the job only because he hasn't been able to beat Michigan. And I think the disconnect between maybe the national college football fan or maybe fans of other teams around the country are looking at this guy like, man, I would want him to be my head coach. Like, he is one of the best in the business. But here in Columbus, there's been this conversation that maybe he's not the guy for the job because he can't beat the chief rival. But it's just so, I don't know, the disconnect between those two conversations, between those two viewpoints, has been something that struck me over the years. I just think that when you look at Ryan Day's resume and when you look at what he's been able to accomplish against some of the best programs in the country, it doesn't surprise me that Ohio State would put such confidence in him, knowing that he, up against anyone basically except Michigan, is as good as it gets in the sport.
Yeah, oddly enough, Ohio State and Michigan fans might both be celebrating this contract today because of the success Michigan has had against Ryan Day's Ohio State teams. And certainly, you give Ryan Day this kind of contract, that comes with the expectation that he's going to be able to turn things around in that rivalry. If Ohio State didn't believe that Ryan Day was going to be able to turn things around in that rivalry, it wouldn't be giving him this kind of contract. But it also speaks to just how much a national championship matters, just how much a national championship means. There's always that talk about what matters more, beating Michigan or winning a national championship. Well, I think this contract right there kind of tells you that a national championship is the pinnacle in this sport. And that's why Ryan Day is now the second highest paid coach in college football, because there's only 3 active coaches in college football who have won a national championship as a head coach. Those are Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, and Dabo Swinney. And Ryan Day is now right behind Kirby Smart in terms of the highest paid coaches. And I think, in terms of him being ahead of Dabo, that has to do with the fact that, Clemson has not looked like that national championship level of team for the last 5 years or so, especially as transfer portal and NIL have proliferated more throughout the sport. Clemson's been a late adopter in that area. I mean, this is really the first year they've started taking transfers at all. And so I think Ryan Day, if you were going to rank the coaches, I think pretty much everybody agrees right now that Kirby's still number one with those multiple national championships. But I don't know who else you could put above Ryan Day at number 2, because he has that national championship in his back pocket now. And to your point, the overall record in 87.5 winning percentage, also the best in the sport. You take out that one column of he struggled to beat Michigan, and guess what? Kirby Smart struggled to beat Alabama too. If you take out that one column, Ryan Day is clearly among the elite coaches in college football.
Right. And he's always had Ohio State knocking on the door of a national title throughout his tenure. In 2019, it was the Clemson game where Ohio State shot itself in the foot quite a bit. I don't know if they go on to beat LSU that year, but they're in the semifinals. They go and they play for a national championship against Alabama in 2020. They fall short there too. 2022, people give Ryan Day credit for having Ohio State compete with a Georgia team that for most of the season, if not all of the season, was viewed as a national title favorite. And then this year, along with Ryan Day's mantra about leaving no doubt, Ohio State did that. They left no doubt and they won the national championship. And as the playoff continues to expand, Dan, I think that you're only going to see Ohio State have, more. I guess they're going to get to a point with this program where it's not only knocking at the door, but it's knocking the door down. And it's something for Ohio State that just by getting in the playoff, they will always be one of a few teams that you always think can go win it all. And with Ryan Day as your head coach, to your point, he is one of 3 that has actually done it and that has gone and reached the mountaintop. And, Kirby Smart, I think, will be there every year. Clemson is now starting to embrace the transfer portal. I think Clemson will start to be a perennial playoff team in this new 12 team and probably expanding to 14 and 16 team format. Maybe, I don't know, we'll get to 24, maybe we'll get to 48. This playoff just keeps expanding and expanding, but it's just something where I think Ohio State has the opportunity in this next 7-year window with Ryan Day as its head coach to continue winning titles. And I think that's, as you were saying earlier, what Ohio State, the athletic department and the school has emphasized is the utmost importance.
And this contract shows the alignment between Ryan Day, between Ohio State, in terms of both of them wanting this to continue to be a long-term partnership between the two sides. And I think we all believed that was the case after Ohio State won the national championship. Again, a couple months ago, far more uncertainty in that regard. But, Ross Bjork came out very quickly after that Michigan loss and said, we believe in Ryan Day. Ryan Day made that belief in him pay off by leading Ohio State to a national championship. And now Ohio State has truly put its money where its mouth is and shown its belief in Ryan Day. And I also think that, this contract takes away, the narratives that could be out there in terms of, I mean, there was talk, even during the college football playoff, it's like, could Ryan Day leave on his own accord? I mean, you think the juxtaposition of what happened a year ago at Michigan when Jim Harbaugh won the national championship and then promptly left for the NFL. Obviously, there were other factors involved in that too, with the ongoing Connor Stallions scandal that, we're still waiting to see exactly how that unfolds for Michigan. And, Jim Harbaugh got that show cause from the NCAA for other recruiting violations that had happened within the program. And so they're two different situations, but the NFL question isn't going to go away completely with Ryan Day. The buyout from his side of the equation in this contract is not prohibitive to where if an NFL team really wanted him, that, he could, make that jump. And, he did say on that Steam Room podcast, he'll never say never, but certainly I don't think this contract is happening today if there wasn't a strong belief between both sides that Ryan Day will continue to be Ohio State's head coach for years to come.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. I think that this contract, while the majority is based on Ryan Day's on-field performance, I think the more you get to hear and the more you get to learn about Ryan Day, you also just understand that his players love him, his staff loves him, the administration loves him, not just because of his performance, but because of who he is as a person. And I think that means a lot to Ohio State. If your motto is going to be the people, the tradition, the excellence, you have to start with having a good person as the forefront and the leader of your most prominent program. And I think that Ohio State understands that Ryan Day loves being Ohio State's head coach, and he loves building up the next generation of men. Whether they go on to the NFL or whether they go on to any other kind of business endeavor, I think Ryan Day genuinely cares about the future of his players and he wants what's best for them. And I think that that's a whole part of this too, that is probably not going to be talked up very much in the national narrative, but it is a part here locally that you see it. You see the way he interacts with his players and his team. And I think that matters a lot to Ohio State as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just look at the contract. I mean, one of the bonuses in there is the team GPA. I mean, that shows they care about the academic performance of a team. I mean, this is a team that has, to Ryan Day's credit, there's been very little off-field controversy around this team in recent years, which, wasn't always the case under Urban Meyer and previous coaches. There's been, you just hear very little about players getting in trouble or, issues within the team, because I think, Ryan Day has done a really good job of creating a strong culture at Ohio State that, to your point, it's not just based on winning and being the best team on the field, but it's also about, having the right kind of people off the field, doing the right things off the field and in the community. And so I think you're absolutely right that that is a factor in Ohio State making the decision to give Ryan Day this massive contract. Of course, he will ultimately be judged by what he does on the field. He has openly said that many times, that he understands the pressure that comes with this job. And this, when you get a $12.5 million contract, the pressure ain't going away. That only makes it clearer that the expectation for Ryan Day is to win more national championships at Ohio State. And certainly that will be the goal again in 2025, even with all the talent, even with the coordinators, assistant coaches who have walked out the door. And so we will continue to have lots more coverage of Ohio State football at 11warriors.com and on 11 Warriors YouTube channel as Ohio State gets into its offseason, continues to finalize its coaching staff for 2025, and begins preparing for spring practice next month. So for Chase Brown, I'm Dan Hope. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Press Coverage.